Is it visible?
Okay, okay.
Okay, fine, that's good.
Okay, please.
So should I start my presentation?
Yes.
All right, that's good. So thank you so much, the organizing committee, to share my presentation. And I'm really thankful to Nazim Khan, the chairman of the foundation, Avicennian Foundation. This is my first participation in this conference, although I've been hearing about this foundation from my father. And I'm really thankful on behalf of my father to award him from the Avicennian Foundation. So my topic of presentation is basically last year I got a project from the Indian National Science Academy, and I submitted this project. So I'm going to present a part of the project to this seminar. So analysis of cardiac drugs described by Ibn Sina in the contemporary research. So everybody knows about Ibn Sina, that he was the very genius person, not only the physician, thinker, writer of the medieval age, and he wrote about 250 books, including 150 on philosophy and 40 on medicine. Most of the people are aware of his two books, the book Canon of Medicine and Book of Healing, Al-Shifa. And apart from these two important books, there is also a treatise, which is the Risalah, Adwiya al Qalbiyah. And in this tract, he mentioned about 63 drugs which could be beneficial for heart as well as for the psychiatric ailments. And lots of clinical and experimental research work has been done to screen these cardiac drugs for its efficacy and safety, but no critical descriptive study is done so far to evaluate the scientific works of all 63 drugs. So what my aim and objective was to make a comprehensive notes of all the works that has been done in the last thousands of years after after this Risala Adya came to existence. So I included in my book or the project all the translations which have been done in relation to this book, reviews, reports, thesis, means the students who have performed the PhD thesis, this M.Pharm thesis, and the dissertations, including the seminars and conferences which have been organized on this particular book. Then video talks, and then the second objective was to compare and critically evaluate all the 63 drugs which have been mentioned by Ibn Sina, either singly or in combination. All the research works which have been done at molecular level or at supramolecular level. So the originality of this work is, to the best of my knowledge, no critical descriptive study has ever been done. Basically, the meta-analysis of all the 63 drugs in relation to the clinical works and non-clinical research works, including the efficacy of these drugs. I tried to find out how many drugs out of these 63 drugs has efficacy and availability in the market. So the justification of my study was there is a need to comment about the utility of Ibn Sina's cardiac drugs on the basis of clinical and experimental study. Some drugs could be found safe without any reported adverse drug reactions. So we need to make a list of the drugs which are safe and which needs to be further explored, screened in the research and development, and to select the promising and accessible drugs. And if any drug out of these 63 drugs is found toxic, then which drug is toxic and what is its present position in the clinical world. So how I performed this research work is I used the various methodology, like I use a reference management software, which is the EndNote, and also apart from EndNote, I use various search engines, and also try to communicate and explore other researchers and other universities, whether any work has been done on this particular treatises. So it consists of these scientific works, as I mentioned, about the clinical and non-clinical research works, review articles, case reports, and whatever suggestions have been done. Then, in addition, I try to look the all possible databases, including the translations in different languages on this particular work, not only from the libraries of India but also from abroad. Then I did the meta-analysis of all the 63 drugs. So what I found in my study that although it's a perception in the modern medicine that no work has ever been done on the cardiac diseases, but if we see that 1,000 years back, Ibn Sina has written this book, Kitab al-Adwiya al Qalbiyah, which include all the aspects of the cardiac diseases, including the drugs and pharmacological actions. Later on, many Arab scholars they derived the idea from this book and tried to write about descriptive studies of this book. So if we see that this book actually was written by Ibn Sina at the instance of Al Said Abu Hassan, where Ibn Sina stayed after he was freed from the imprisonment in the Farjan port. Uh, and according to a very famous scholar who wrote Tatiba Siwan al Hikmah Kafti, that this treatise of Ibn Sina was written in around 405 Hijri or 1014 AD. So this treatise includes 9 chapters on the psychology, about the soul, about the kinds of souls and where the seat of the soul is lying, the extrovert and introvert states of a human person, and 8 chapters are all about the therapeutic efficacy of the drugs. So Ibn Sina basically he mentioned his observation about these drugs after taking lead from the Galenic medicine, and these physicians actually had knowledge about the drugs which could be helpful in the heart ailment, and this was the Ibn Sina's independent work, and it provides not only the heart anatomy, physiology, including the mechanism of contraction and relaxation, pathophysiology, and the management. So this is about the Ibn Sina's work, but later on we found that many people were quite influenced by his works. So these are the original works which are still present in some of the important libraries of the world. For example, you can see here original works which was written in Arabic language is still there in some of the libraries in Iran, Turkey, Russia, Netherlands, Spain, England, and also in India. And the original works which are there in these libraries, some of these libraries have published the facsimile reproduction. For example, Astana Quds Rezavi of Mashhad, they have also printed their original work, and also from the Leningrad, which was basically done by the Uzbekistan scholar, which was published from Tashkent in 1966. You can see in the right side the picture of that book. Then, as I said, after Ibn Sina, many people, many scholars, they were quite influenced and tried to translate this work. So the first author was the was Badruddin Qadri, a Qadri of Balbak, and he wrote Mufarra Nafs, which was written in 1240, around 1247. So just after 200 years, around 200 years of the Adwiya al Qalbiyah, this Mufarra Nafs came into existence. Later, this Arabic translation, Arabic work was translated into Latin by Arnold Villanova, and he included this book along with the other important books of Ibn Sina, especially with the canon. And again, around in 1485, two Hebrew translations also came into existence. Then second translation was also done in Latin by Andreas Alpegus, and this was the book which was used in many of the Western medical universities, and lots of reprints and prints of this book came into the for the students. And last book was actually edited by the Benedicto Reno, This is the picture of the book, which was edited by the Benedicto, and the copies of these books is extended in many of the libraries of the Western world. Other scholars were Abu Hamid Najibuddin Muhammad bin Ali bin Omar Samarkandi. He wrote Risalah Adwiya al Qalbiyah, which was scribed in around 1597, and this is available in the library of Majlis e-Shura of Shura Islami, Iran. Then Mahmud bin Ilyas Shirazi also wrote this book, Fi al-Adwiya al Qalbiyah. This is present in the Library of India. And Adwiya Qalbiyah, another book which is not familiar who wrote this book, but this is lying in the Islamic Republic of Iran, Tehran. Then you can see this lots of books were written after Ibn Sina's text, and this is Tafriul Qulub, the Persian translation by Hakim Ahmadullah Khan. And you will be happy to know that Tafriul Qulub, which was uh, the translation work of Adwiya Qalbiyah by Hakim Ahmadullah Khan, and most of the copies are extant at the libraries of India. And later on, my father Hakim Syed Rahman, he edited and translated this work of Hakim Ahmadullah Khan, and which was published in 1995. Then other books like Darue Qalbi, which is again a Persian translation by Hakim Sayyid Muhammad Baqir Musavi, and this has been edited by recently by Sayyid Hussain Razavi Burqai in 2004, and was published by the Society for the Appreciation of Cultural Works and Dignitaries, Institute of Islamic Studies, Tehran. And you can also see other books and other books in Persian like Adwiya Qalbiyah Iran. So lots of books. And important thing is another Arabic manuscript, Al Qalbiyah, which was again by Ibn Sina, a copy of a manuscript which was scribed in around 18th century, is preserved in the manuscript collection of the Abu Rehan Al Beruni Institute of Oriental Studies of the Academy of Sciences of the Republic of Uzbekistan. So in Uzbekistan also there is a copy of this Arabic manuscript. So these are other scholars, and the book which I translated is from the Urdu translation by Hakim Abdul Latif. Actually, this Urdu translation was done by at the instance of the Vice President of India, Zakir Hussain, and actually the translation was done from a very important manuscript which was available in the library of Jamia Islamia. Later on, this manuscript has been burned. Afterwards, Hakim Abdul Hamid from Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi, and Hakim Muhammad Saeed, two brothers who founded Hamdard universities respectively in India and Pakistan. They have also written a book on Avicenna's tract. So, apart from these translation, I found that these 63 drugs, which is mentioned by Ibn Sina, 48 are of the plant origin, 8 are of animal origin, and 7 are from the mineral origin. Then I what I did is I tried to critically evaluate all these work, and also try to see the work of these drugs in the single form, as well as in the formulation in the compound form, and also the synthetic drugs or active principles derived from these drugs. They've also helpful in identifying the lead drugs, and as a part of reverse pharmacology, we can work further. And as I said, if these drugs are helpful, then we need to work on it. And if the drugs are of obsolete in nature, or has any adverse effect of these drugs, for example, there is a drug which was mentioned by Ibn Sina, is the silver. So silver, if it is used in large amount, it may produce anemia and cardiac enlargement. So these drugs should be avoided in the research work. Then apart from the single drugs, what I found that most of the drugs which was mentioned by Ibn Sina, they are being used in the form of formulations. And for example, khamira, which is the semi-solid preparation, are traditionally used for cardiac diseases, for example, in palpitation, weakness, arrhythmia. And these khamiras, they are a very important product of Unani system of medicine. And these are some of the list of khamire, for example, khamire abration Hakim Arshad wala, khamire abration Sada, khamire abration Oud Mastagi wala. So these are the list of the khamire which includes the drugs which were mentioned by Ibn Sina. In addition to khamire, there are some other preparations like you can see दवा अल मिस्क sufuf darunaj majun naja maul lehem. So maul lehem also consists of the drugs which was mentioned by Ibn Sina: mufarre barid, mufarre kabir, kurse kafur, and sharab rehani. Then, in addition to these translations and the works on single drugs and the works on the formulation, what I found is at least 20 students they have done the work in the form of MD thesis, and six students they have submitted the PhD thesis on the on this important work of Ibn Sina Adwiya al Qalbiyah, and 26 students from different universities they did M.Pharm dissertation on this particular topic. And what I found is two grant projects were given on this important work, and at least 10 seminars have been organized specifically on Adwiya Qalbiyah. And another very important scholar from Israel, Tezvi Langerman, he has given a very important lecture on accelerants, illuminants, and the repair of the pneuma, which has also been published by him. So apart from the research work, these thesis work and presentations were done. Then in conclusion, what I would like to say is that we know that traditional medicine have been utilized since ages in the healthcare, and 25% of the prescription drugs still contain ingredients or from the isolated from plants. And now we have resources, we can work more on these herbs, and also we try to we have already screened the drugs which were mentioned by Ibn Sina, but it needs to available in the market, or the active ingredients or the pharmaceutical companies they may take all these drugs for the cardiac ailments. So major bioactive compounds can be identified, and work on these medicinal plants. And if you see that most of the research work which has been done was found to possess cardioprotection against doxorubicin or isoproterenol induced myocardial infarction. And you all know that isoproterenol is a drug, beta adrenergic receptors agonist, which is used to cause stress in the myocardium. And then we try to see the effects of drugs after making this cardio toxic, and compare the effects of the drugs after this model. Then these plant-based medicines have been studied for their antioxidants, anti-apoptotic, and anti-hyperlipidemic activities, and after induction by doxorubicin and isoproterenol. So if you see that some of the drugs out of these 63 drugs are found having efficacy like diuretic, efficacy like beta antagonist, or angiotensin 2 receptor blockers, calcium channel blockers, and digoxin like activity. So you can imagine that 1,000 years back, Ibn Sina just mentioned the drugs which could be helpful in cardiac ailment, and in the modern world, what we found that these drugs are having the diuretic and calcium blockers like activities, which are these drugs are also used in modern medicine. So this is the book which I published from the Ibn Sina Academy, and so it's a very comprehensive book. Because the shortage of time, I could not elaborate here, especially about the molecular level work and the supramolecular level work of all the 63 drugs. But I tried to publish a few papers from this book, which which you can Google and found, for example, Indian Journal of History of Science, which is an important journal of the Indian National Science Academy. And they have also published this research work, meta-analysis of the cardiovascular drugs. Another a journal, International Journal of Human and Health Sciences, also published this work, which has been done by me. So in this short presentation, it's next to impossible to present all the works, but definitely the drugs which was mentioned by Ibn Sina could be helpful in the modern world. And in the end, I would like to thanks once again and Shukriya and Rahmat in the for the presentation, the time which was given to me. Once again, thank you, the organizing committee, for giving me a chance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Rahman, for your very interesting presentation. Of course, we now the Ibn Sina's work contains very important just results, but we should see their work from viewpoint of new modern medicine and also the modern science and modern research. And as you mentioned, we should look and also study this research separately and more deepen in the research side and also the for the education side, because our students also very much interested for Ibn Sina works nowadays to learn his works in case of the new modern pharmacy research and also the medicine. Thank you very much for your effort and for your research. Of course, our students will be very interested to get your work about this research, and we hope for collaboration for your organization also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. I'll try to present this book to your foundation. You'll find this book very interesting for the student as well as for the pharmaceutical companies, because here also in India, pharmaceuticals companies are interested in looking the active molecules. We have a new concept, phytopharmaceuticals. So I talked to the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. They are interested in working on this and try to take the permission from the regulatory body to work and to allow this some of the active ingredients to use for the cardiac ailments. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you very much. Because here is some members of the pharmaceutical agency from our side. They will have very great interest on this. Thank you very much. So next.